I don't know. We're gonna have to do something.
This guy's doing a flip right here, and the guy next to him just reaches up and grabs a harness that's right on his hip.
I gotta pause it real quick. I'm gonna pause it because
Yeah.
the funniest part to me, well, there's several funny parts, by the way,
I don't know.
but the lady in the background with the hair,
Yeah.
it's like, did someone not think that like we've got to make her hair look like that, right?
Right.
It's got to be standing up,
Yeah.
dude. It's as hard as a rock. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
moving.
yeah.
You know, it's like we must be in space. Look at her hair. Like obviously, there's this thing called hairspray.
Yeah.
So here goes this guy doing a backflip, and he
And then gravity just like
Kadoom!
gravity goes away. He must have found a pocket.
gravity goes away, and he fell,
Yeah.
or he got caught up in that harness he's wearing. Here comes the one with senior
Yeah.
in the background.
Yeah.
Holy hell!
And it's obviously
There's an arrow.
a guy filming with a green tennis ball in front of a blue screen.
Right. Clearly, I mean, it's not even.
And then here's a clip of what they turned it
Here's
into.
his water particle. Yep. Wow.
This guy just disappears like, oh, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I'm good to go. Hey, I gotta go. Yeah, what we got back there? Another green screen.
And this guy
The
just
ones where they're doing the he's
Hanging
hanging
from
his
a
shirt,
harness.
like you can see, like
it's not even
you
good.
can clearly see the harness. It's like if you take your hands right now and you grab your shirt and you just pull out.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Yeah.
This one's my favorite right
And the
here.
green
The guy
shirt?
goes to reach for.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a doofus.
But watch their thing at the end. I think this guy's always in it, man. He's the biggest
always
clown.
there.
Yeah.
He's the worst. Like they got to be like, hey Bob, we got to get you out of here, bro. Like you're blowing our.
Look at this.
Let me reach up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh wait. Oh, kung fu.
Here, I'm gonna pause it real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause it real quick. So,
We have to. Then we got to expand.
so I imagine this guy in the green that's doing this flip. Like when they're practicing, they're like, "Oh, this guy's got the shit, man. He nails every flip, and you can never tell, right?" So he's like the practice king of flips. But then whenever they go to film it, he gets nervous and he spoofs it up and grabs his harness because he is
Yeah,
the most
he's Ray
obvious-
Finkel.
Yeah, terrible, man.
It turns out that 6 of the 7 are still alive and kicking today. Ellison Onizuka claims to be his identical twin brother, Claude. Yeah, I've got an identical twin brother, Claude, too. The Challenger pilot, Mickey Smith, hasn't even bothered changing his name. He's now Professor Michael J. Smith of University of Wisconsin. Now, Krista McAuliffe was a bit of a sneaky one. She was the Challenger payload specialist, quite famous for being a teacher. It turns out during her astronaut days she was using her middle name, Krista, and now she goes by her first name, Sharon, and she's a Syracuse law professor. The Challenger commander, Francis Richard Scobie, is now Dick Scobie, which sounds like a rather unpleasant disease, CEO of Cows and Trees Limited. Judith Resnick, the Challenger mission specialist, again hasn't even bothered changing her name. She's a professor at Yale Law. And finally, Ronald McNair, another Challenger mission specialist, claims to be his identical twin brother, Carl McNair. What are the odds?
Reality fell as the ISS astronaut on the left grabs nothing from the other astronaut and sets nothing down. I love the guy in the background that is zooming around here on a harness back and forth. This wasn't a good day for NASA. And I think I just caught a new mistake. Maybe someone else has already pointed it out. But do you remember this disappearing astronaut? It's a continual shot. And so the naysayers can't claim that it's just splicing two clips together. But here's a similar one, just not as obvious. Do you see how his foot becomes see-through? Anyways, I could go on for days on all the space fakery from all the different nations. Unmistakable, permed hair that flows nothing like it should in a zero-G environment. Bubbles in space, repeated CGI mistakes. Obvious use of harnesses and wire fails. Evident use of blue screen technology. The reckless playing with water. The fact that the ISS was never assembled on the ground for extensive testing before it went into space. The impossible longevity of the valves and seals in space. A mistaken reflection of a cameraman off of a cosmonaut's visor, etc. But in the end, it really depends on whether you will allow yourself to investigate the matter. The bottom line is, if they can lie about the Apollo moon missions, the Columbia mission, satellites, ISS, or space, then they could lie about everything. Thank you again for allowing me to speak today, and I especially want to thank Adi Roos for organizing this spectacular event. This has been wonderful. I hope that we can all meet again someday. Thank you very much.
Moon landing never happened. Well, that's what some conspiracy theorists say, and here's why. Number 1, the flag. How is it waving in no atmosphere? NASA claims this was for image. A limp flag doesn't look good. So they added a horizontal rod that didn't fully extend to the length of the flag, which gave it a waving motion. Number 2, the stars. Why can't we see them in the photos? Well, unlike our eyes, photos can only take a certain amount of light. The light from the sun and other sources made it too bright for them to be visible. Number 3, radiation. How did the astronauts not die from radiation exposure? The spacecraft's hull supposedly shielded the astronauts from being exposed to lethal radiation dosages. Once they were out of the extreme radiation zone, their few hours on the moon were not considered to be detrimental. So do you think the moon landing was faked, or did it really happen? Moon landing never happened. Well, that's
There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. Examples of this include astronauts fading in and out of the screen, green screen glitches, grabbing objects that aren't really there, pulling on invisible wires, getting tangled in their harnesses, and even astronauts appearing out of thin air. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage?
Most of the public have no idea that the ISS is located in an underwater neutral buoyancy lab in Houston, Texas. The space station footage that they trick us with is not traveling at 17,500 miles per hour above your head. It's all being filmed here on Earth. An exact ISS replica underwater. Coincidence? It's a pretty simple process. Film your footage underwater, remove the water layer, add in your CGI Earth layer, and cast your spell.
Bubbles in space.
They love to throw a microphone around in so-called outer space. Why not just be wireless? You know, what are we back, in the 70s or 80s still using these microphones? This is just a prop. And they're trying to show off their zero-G in so-called ISS. But again, nothing but smoke and mirrors, nonsense garbage from these frauds, these liars. Now watch this. As this one so-called astronaut is holding this inflatable globe. Let's play this clip and take a look at what happens. And he drops it. And look at the expressions from all the other so-called astronauts. And look at this face here, the one in the middle, the ringleader of the circus. Uh-oh, back up. Completely embarrassing. Let's take a closer look. And there he goes. And look at her face here as it drops. Oops, oops. Uh-oh. That's supposed to happen. Completely embarrassing. And what it comes down to, liars always expose themselves. They can't keep their lies straight. And this is transparent as transparent gets. But of course, the NASA fanboys, the SpaceX fanboys, they're not going to have anything to do with this. They're going to make every excuse in the book, of course, because once someone believes a lie, it's very hard to unbelieve a lie. And that's all comes down to ego. And ego is the biggest enemy of truth. And let's play it a little bit closer even. Clip here as he drops it once again in supposed zero gravity. There's absolutely no excuse. It gets back to Andre Cooper, who says things do not drop in space. And oops. So look at the expression here coming up with these so-called astronauts, and their faces speak a million words as it drops. And look at the reaction. Look at her face specifically. This guy here starts smiling. They don't know what to do. And the smiles. You know, obviously they are completely embarrassed. Obviously not part.
Yeah, right here's fine. I'm Bart with ABC Digital. How you doing? I was given a classified tape from the Apollo program. It's 31 years old. It's an unedited reel, including outtakes from the mission. It's got about 20 takes of a single shot of the mission. What mission? Apollo 11. Yes. And the photography is being forged in the mission. They're faking a shot of being halfway to the moon. And they refer to you on the tape as a shot that was done during Apollo 10, where you put a transparency over the window and move the camera of the Earth and move the camera back away from the window, turn off the lights in the spacecraft, and appeared to be halfway to the moon when in fact they were in Earth orbit. Huh, really? Yeah, and they said it was the same way that you did it on Apollo 10. So we wanted to give you the opportunity to put your left hand on the Bible, to raise your right hand, to swear to God. Stick it in your ear. Well, you were giving an opportunity to swear to God under oath that you walked on the moon. I don't do that kind of thing. Well, if you really walked on the moon, what's the problem of swearing to God that you did? Do you believe in God?
You want me to knock you in the head?
Well, I want you to swear to God on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Okay.
If you walked on the moon, we're given the opportunity to swear to God that you walked on the moon.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
Mr. Armstrong, Bart Sibrel, ABC Digital. Wanted to give you the opportunity to swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Gentlemen. Mr. Sibrel.
Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Sibrel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Really? Well, no, it's a real Bible. You have the opportunity to have $5,000.
The meeting is not open.
Well, you have $5,000 cash. You can give it to charity if you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Please
I have a tape.
It'd be fine.
Why don't you swear to? Why not? Why won't you do it? So why don't you put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Mr. Sibrel has made a fool of himself in front of the world. Mr. Sibrel, you do not deserve answers.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything.
To get out of here?
This is a hotel.
We'll call
Right,
the police.
We pay.
Come on in here, we'll call the police.
Solicit
You like that?
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir, I don't have nothing to do with this, but
Okay.
you cannot solicit on this property.
We just paid
Right now,
to rent out the penthouse to shoot up there. So
you can't solicit like this on this property.
keep shooting.
All right, well, then I'd go through my measures.
Yeah.
You got to keep shooting, man. Okay, well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Come with me, Buzz.
You really like attention, don't you?
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
The Earth is about 4 times bigger than a full moon looks to us from Earth. It was very close to the horizon on Apollo 17, and that was unique for us. We didn't have to look up like most of the other flights from most of the other landing sites were to look at the Earth. I mean, I just glanced over my shoulder, and there's the Earth. It was there all the time. The Earth is about...
Buzz Aldrin told you the moon landings didn't happen.
What was the
Would you still
scariest
believe?
moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Circuit breaker.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
When they returned from the moon is one of the most cryptic, weird things you'll ever see. These guys look like they just stole something and they're being questioned. I've never seen a video where people look like they're more full of shit than that video of the press conference from 1969. It's weird, man. It's weird. They're like fidgety and looking nervous, like they're getting away
so
with
they
something.
didn't do it then?
They might have done it. They might have been forced to say some things that they didn't want to say, and that could be part of it.
Absolutely.
You know, they could have done it, but there's a lot of weirdness with the moon landing. It's if you wanted to have like a conspiracy that to wrap your head around that's exciting, it's one of the best ones.
Really, but who benefits from it?
The United States government did because it showed military superiority over the Russians.
Yeah.
The world is definitely not ready to hear this, but there is no real picture of the Earth.
What do you mean?
Every picture that's been released that's on Google and or released from NASA is a 3D render. There's only 2 pictures the Earth claims to have in its vault. Let me show you them right now.
You're telling me that my iPhone 3G wallpaper isn't real?
That's the blue marble. The blue marble, as known from popular media and your iPhone 3, this claims to be an actual photo of the Earth from space.
It's claiming that?
You want me to show you the other one? The other one's hilarious. This is the real one, apparently.
What?
It's called the pale blue dot.
Who took that?
I've taken better pictures whenever my phone is in my pocket accidentally, bro. That's what this looks like.
Why do all these pictures look so fake?
If you go through Google, there's not a single one that looks even remotely real.
Don't we have pictures of other planets?
I don't think you're ready for that conversation, bro.
Saturn picture. Okay, that is deep. This is made of the PS2.
You're really not ready for that conversation, bro. The world is definitely not ready to hear this, but there is no real picture of the Earth.
What do you mean?
Every picture that's been released that's on Google and or released from NASA is a
The NASA plan, when he found out what it was,
what is it?
It's a breakaway civilization where you don't try to run the whole planet. You siphon off resources and build a whole new advanced system, and then you play everybody off against each other and collapse it. So when I say, what is NASA? If we could take NASA back over, it's bigger than the CIA. It's the real government. The spaceships and the stuff, that's all PR.
Happened in a little town called York, Maine, across the United States from where we're talking to you right now. From where we're talking to you right now. From where we're talking to you right now.
Hello, my name is Steve-O.
We can all agree on one thing. Everything is much better with NASA. Making the best C5 since
moon landing. Bollocks. Can't land on the fucking moon. The moon's like it's a luminary. It's like it doesn't exist for you to drive up and land on.
You just think that was like a political play?
Well, clearly, obviously. If you mate, go on there, if you get your phone out, look at the fucking lunar landing. Honestly, you know, like now.
I have actually looked at some of those videos, and some of them
hangers and tinfoil and fucking duct tape. Come on, man. Do you know what I mean? Like that went through an infinite vacuum to no. We've got Wi-Fi now, yeah, and the signal's fucking dog shit. Yeah, you get a Wi-Fi call and you're like, it says 5G, but you're like, you can't hear nothing. But then this guy's got his little dial-up phone and he's like rang the fella on the moon. They're like, oh yes, hey Houston. Like really, honestly, you genuinely believe that as a fully grown man?
I'm not saying I'm a conspiracy theorist, but think about this real quick. 4,000 satellites currently orbiting the Earth. And how come the Earth always looks different whenever they show different pictures of it? Look how big the United States is in this picture. And in this picture, look how big the United States is. That's kind of weird, right? But anyways, back to these satellites. There's 4,000 of them floating around. And anytime they show a picture of space, I don't see a satellite. And before you get on me saying that the International Space Station orbits in the thermosphere, not the exosphere, I get that. I get that idea. I get that they're in different levels of low Earth orbit. But I just find it weird. I've never seen a picture of any satellites anytime ever. That's freaking weird.
Chinese land on the moon.
I have no idea.
2013. Did you ever see the video?
No.
So the Chinese landed on the moon in 2013. And they released a video for it. But pretty quick, that video was taken down, and they said, no, it's just a joke, because it was so bad. It was so fake. Because they didn't have, Kubrick,
I was watching the ISS, quote-unquote, live, and check this out. Pay attention. Right in this area. Whoop. I mean, for the love of God. If you guys still think this shit's real...
Does anyone actually still watch the moon landing footage and think it's real?
Houston, we've had a problem. Main B bus under volt. Roger, main B under volt. Stand by 13, we're looking at it. Okay, right now, Houston, the voltage is looking good.
Sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Been following my work, you know. I don't. The inverse square law of light. If you didn't know, light doesn't travel forever. The sun's not 93 million miles away. It's local. Here's like a bunch of experiments that we did in the past proving that the Earth is stationary and that the sky moves, guys. Nobody seeing these? Guys, this is really simple. They convinced everybody that the Bermuda Triangle is dangerous and scary so that nobody would go sit out there during their launches. It's really simple. Once you realize the Earth is flat, you're gonna realize that there's intelligent design to this place. We have a God. If you want to know my opinion, check out my podcast. I just posted an episode, 2 hours. Linktree in my bio.
Modified Men in Black version. For the first 4,000 years of our civilization, we believed that the Earth was a flattish disk surrounded by a solid dome barrier called the firmament. All of the 5 major religions had their own version of this, and the churches enforced the belief. Then, around 1514, a man named Copernicus created a new model of the world. He stated that if the Earth was spinning around 1,100 miles an hour and circling the sun at 60,000 miles an hour, the world was then round. And while the math more or less worked, there was a problem. It was 1500, and the technology to prove such a theory wasn't there. The first balloon to carry people wasn't invented until 1760. Sailboats were the only travel over water, and the fastest thing on land was a horse. But the new worldview was promoted and took hold. The religions adapted to handle the new reality, and life moved on. More importantly, the globe model was quickly introduced into the education systems. Over the next 500 years, the challenges to this model faded, to the point where the globe was accepted as universally as
is the one who did it. So for three months out in that same area of White Sands area, he was off in a cabin with his friend L. Ron Hubbard, and they did this with a couple random women. They did this 3-month sex magic ritual that Crowley had written, and the entire time they were in contact with Crowley, and Crowley was warning them, this is too big for you. It's going to get out of hand. And they did it. And you can believe whatever you want about magic, but what he believed he was doing, what Jack and Elron and Crowley believed he was doing, was opening a portal. And what we saw immediately after was first, Jack's house blew up. He died in an explosion, allegedly a freak accident. And the theory goes, for those who do believe in this magic stuff, that because he was the creator of the portal, he couldn't then close it because he was dead. And immediately after, you get the Roswell crash, and then you get this incredible uptick in people seeing UFOs.
By the way, just for a little bit more context on that, Aleister Crowley summoned a demon through a portal in Scotland, and there's a picture of it. I'll actually find this while you're talking. There's a picture of it. It looks like a gray. So you don't see gray aliens or the talk of them or the concept of them until after Parsons opens a portal in the White Sands Desert, right where Roswell and all these things start taking place, and he dies and is never able to close this. And this is very important. Like, whether you believe it or not, this is extremely important in occult magic, is the idea that if you open a portal, you have to close it.
Always a mystery. The cameraman is. Some say they're the module. Others say the cheese man and the moon.
Go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
When you said that just now, did it sound stupid to you?
Kind of.
No budget. Look, this is the space station, right? We're looking down at the Earth. You can tell it's a space station because there's always a solar panel in the way. But this isn't really the space station. This is filmed in somebody's front yard where we just turned the camera upside down, right? We did that with zero budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that.
Microgravity, and things float while we're up here, as you can see. I'll float, Mark is floating, and so it really takes a lot of effort.
left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Is microgravity.
Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And, as it turns out, the cleanest.
Damn.
Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you. It's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
Let me tell you about him. Auguste Piccard was the first man to ever enter the stratosphere, years before NASA ever existed. And he did it in this thing. Now, if you look him up, you'll see that he was the first person to observe the curvature of the Earth. And in his journal, he wrote that the Earth was as a flat disc with upturned edges. Kind of a weird way to describe curvature, don't you think? He observed this 10 miles up into the sky, which is in the stratosphere, and 35,000 feet is the commonly accepted height at which you are able to observe curvature. He was at 55,000 feet. Was this guy a definitive flat earther? No. And neither is this proof for a flat earth, but it makes you wonder. He's a scientist, man. He observed it.
Destination in space.
The next ultimate destination is Mars.
The next one.
Congressman, the next destination, as I said before, is the International Space Station. And we've got to do that
not
four
be
more times.
trite then. What is the one after that?
It's Mars.
So there's nothing in between as far as you're concerned.
But there are intermediate stops
What are
on the
they?
way there.
What's the next one?
The moon is a destination. Lagrange points are destinations.
Which one is next?
You mean where do we go immediately next? Is that the question?
That's what next means.
Congressman, we are in the process of developing a program. I will have to be able to give you the details, and I will come back and make it for the record in the coming months.
So why are we even talking about how to get to the next destination? We don't even know what that is.
Congressman, we do know what it is. We know what it is.
What is it?
Congressman, we can go back and forth forever.
We seem to have to here. I'm looking for an answer.
Okay. The next destination in the Constellation program was the moon.
On the moon. On July 16, 1969, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins took off in a Saturn V rocket as part of NASA's Apollo 11 mission to put humans on the moon. Or did they? Starting only a few years after the final Apollo mission, this theory came about that the moon landings were faked, and any video or photographic evidence was simply done in a secret movie set. The theory went further to claim that the script for this fake moon landing was written by Arthur C. Clarke, and it was all directed by Stanley Kubrick. Other alleged evidence used to support this theory were that there were different angles of shadows being seen in pictures on the moon, and astronauts were being lit up in shadow even though there was only the sun for light. In addition to that, it appeared like there were no stars out in space, and there were also these strange rocks with letters apparently carved into them, like stage props. There were also other anomalies in some of the photos, like these layered crosshairs, suggesting that there might have been some kind of manipulation done to the the photos. And then also the flag, which appears to be blowing in the wind when there's no atmosphere on the moon. And perhaps one of the more curious points is that the astronauts for these missions all had to travel through the Van Allen radiation belt around Earth twice, which would have likely fried any of the astronauts aboard and their equipment. Despite being able to see the different Apollo landing sites and other technology left behind, many people still believe that
see what's taking place here with NASA. Nothing more than fakery. I mean, give me a break. This is a complete insult. If you have a brain in your head,